Two divers entered an underwater cave for exploration when the passage behind them suddenly collapsed, completely blocking their way out. At the same time, their gas supply was nearly depleted. One of them went back to check whether they had taken a wrong turn, but when he returned just minutes later, he was shocked to find his partner missing in a dead-end tunnel. Where could he possibly have gone? Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing a rare and tragic cave diving incident, the Sherlock Springs Cave Accident. Sherlock Springs is located in Biselau, southwest of Tallahassee, Florida. Previously known as Indian Springs, it appears on the surface to be a small, round pond about 56 meters in diameter and 9 meters deep. But below lies a hidden world, a vast limestone cave reaching depths of up to 91 meters. The cave entrance lies at the northern bottom of the pond and leads into a gradually narrowing, downward-sloping tunnel. About 50 meters underwater, the tunnel makes a sharp right turn into the infamous Scars Restriction Zone, a perilously narrow section that allows only one diver to pass through at a time. Beyond this, the tunnel widens again and levels out, resembling a man-made highway tunnel. The cave system is complex and visually stunning. Sherlock Springs itself is not an isolated cave. It is part of the Wakulla cave system located 2.5 kilometers away, and the water is connected to the Wakulla Springs. On November 17, 1991, a group of cave diving enthusiasts arrived at the site. All 8 were members of a club called WKPP. Their mission was to search for new passages inside the cave. The team was split into 4 groups. The first stayed on the surface to provide support. The second and third descended to place decompression tanks. The fourth group, Bill and Parker, founders of the club, were tasked with the final exploration. Their plan was to dive from the entrance to a fork called the Grand Canyon, descend and head left to search for unexplored tunnels, then exit via an upward passage near the Wakulla Room. The entire dive was expected to take about 2 hours. Around 10 a.m., the decompression teams entered the water. A few minutes later, Bill and Parker followed. At a depth of 20 meters, they encountered George from the decompression team. After a quick exchange, they continued downward. The footage shown is actual footage from inside the cave, corresponding closely with the position on the map. After several minutes, they reached the turn into Scars Restriction Zone. From this point, the tunnel stretched out horizontally to the right. Adjusting their buoyancy vests for neutral buoyancy and using their scooters, they moved swiftly. Soon they arrived in a massive area called Wakulla, where the sensation of swimming feels like floating in outer space. After exploring this space, they squeezed through a narrow tunnel and continued to the right. This section was also spacious. If not for the fallen rocks, it would resemble a highway tunnel inside a mountain. 40 minutes into the dive, they reached the Grand Canyon Fork. As planned, they turned and descended into the next level of the cave, heading left in search of unexplored passages. Though this level was narrower, their scooter still functioned well. In 25 minutes, they reached the lower Wakulla Room. There, they found an upward path and, with their gas running low, began their exit. Back at the fork, they followed the guideline to the left, but the tunnel was now filled with sediment, reducing visibility to about 30 centimeters. Staying close to the guideline, they proceeded slowly. They weren't too worried. It was supposed to be only 20 more meters to exit the Scars Restriction Zone. But something was wrong. After several meters, they found that the tunnel was blocked. The guideline disappeared into a mound of sand and wouldn't budge. Confused and alarmed, they wondered, had they taken the wrong path? Or had there been a collapse? Panic set in. Their gas was nearly gone. Bill wrote on his slate, "Wait here, I'll check the line marker." He swam back to the fork. No error. The line clearly indicated the left path was the exit. He rushed back, taking just 5 minutes total. But Parker was gone. In shock, Bill looked everywhere. But the dark, narrow tunnel showed no sign of another diver. Forcing himself to think clearly, Bill realized there were no other offshoots. Parker must have gone into the sand pile. Suddenly, he felt water flowing toward him from the pile. Looking closely, he saw a small gap, likely created as Parker forced his way through. With his gas almost gone, Bill didn't hesitate. He began digging his way forward. The collapsed section was only 2 meters long, but it felt endless. Eventually, the blockage gave way. He had made it through. The tunnel now curved upward. Ahead, he saw a tank and a regulator hanging from the guideline, but had no time to investigate. His own gas had run out. Holding his breath, he followed the line upward and reached the decompression station at 30 meters just in time. He opened a decompression bottle and breathed again, finally calming down. But then he noticed Parker's decompression bottle hadn't been used. He should have come through already. Bill remembered the regulator he saw and realized Parker might have drowned. The thought sent him into a mental spiral. Soon, another diver approached. George, not Parker. Bill used his slate. Parker is dead. George paused in silence, then urged Bill to ascend with him. But Bill was unresponsive. George had to bring down another diver to help bring Bill up. After surfacing, the team learned the full story. Divers on the surface had already searched multiple times but hadn't reached the turn where the blockage occurred. The next morning, police found Parker floating near the top of the cave, around 10 meters deep. He wore only his wetsuit, and the ceiling above showed signs of collapse. The true cause wasn't discovered until over 20 years later by a physics professor. When Bill and Parker entered the water, George and his teammate were decompressing at 20 meters. The bubbles they exhaled gathered near the cave ceiling around 10 meters deep, slowly decreasing the water's buoyancy and weakening the rock stability. After George exited, the buoyancy force diminished further, triggering the collapse. The falling rocks hit a slope, causing a landslide that blocked the passage. The pond water level dropped, but then slowly recovered. Unaware of the blockage, Bill and Parker tried to escape. During their efforts, Parker's air ran out. He couldn't wait. He dug through the sand, emerging just in time, but had to hold his breath to reach a decompression bottle. Tragically, he lost consciousness just meters from safety. Before passing out, he ditched his gear, hoping his buoyant wetsuit might lift him if someone found him in time. But his body was too far from the line and wasn't discovered until the next morning. Parker's actions, however, saved Bill. Without Parker clearing the way, Bill likely wouldn't have escaped in time. An autopsy and dive computer data ruled out foul play, confirming the death was caused by a collapse, one of the rare cave diving accidents caused by natural disaster. That concludes today's video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.